How modern women force you to lower your standards. We need to talk about it.
I was just patient, never try skating. Fuck niggas hating.
Now, I'm going to do another video about all the different types of abuse because us men, we're normally looked at as the abuser. So we might not be aware of how many different ways we can be abused outside of physical. Physical is a primary source of abuse, but there are so many different types of abuse, and we don't know that we're being abused. And we kind of just feel like something's off that don't feel right. It doesn't really necessarily always create pain. Sometimes abuse can create confusion. Sometimes abuse could manipulate you out of certain things, and then you feel duped and you feel like you got taken for granted or taken advantage of. Even though it's not a physical pain, it still can be triggering. It still can force men to react in a maybe an abusive way. So not this video, but more than likely my next video, I want to break down all of the different types of abuse so that if you are a man and you would like to be aware of all the different ways that women can abuse men, I'll go to help you out. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to discuss a couple of them. We have financial abuse. We have mental abuse. We have emotional abuse. We have psychological abuse. We have verbal abuse. We have physical abuse. We have sexual abuse. I mean, I'm going to do, it's so many ways to abuse people. So men, like I said, we are the ones that are more likely going to be the ones accused of physical abuse, you know what I'm saying? But women can do all of the things we can do and some. And it's relevant to this topic today because how does a woman get you to lower your lower your standards? You watch a lot of these videos, you know your worth, you know your value, you know what you want to tolerate and what you don't want to tolerate, you know what you're looking for. And then let's just be honest. Sometimes you slip up and you can find yourself dealing with a woman you had no business dealing with. And you're like, how did I get here? I am forced boundaries from the beginning. I was assertive. I was direct. I was communicating on a clear frequency with this woman. We should not be here, but yet here we are. Well, in this video, I want to discuss all the sneaky little ways that a woman could force you to forget your own standards. And it's going to get a little dark. So let's go jump right in. Number one way that women their sneaky little tactic to get you to lower your own standards is they tease you with lust. Now, this is going to be one of the most obvious ones. That's why I'm starting it first. But come on now. When a woman is, showing off some skin, when she's tempting you, when she's, trying to seduce you, and she know you are a man with standards, and she heard you tell her what your standards are, and she read them on your profile, and you carry yourself as a man with standards, and then this woman is like, showing off and sending you pictures, seductive pictures, getting you to lust after her. She wants to control that part of your brain that you, as of the moment, have control over. She's like, I'm going to get you. You know what I mean? I was talking to a woman before, probably a month ago or two. And this woman, I was telling her how I had been celibate since my last relationship. And mid-conversation, I told her I wasn't trying to tell her that to say that this is something that I'm doing intentionally in spite of woman or because I have been hurt in the past. It's just something that I lost interest in just doing, sexual stuff just for play. I was like wanting to have a more reasonable or more a deeper connection with somebody. I just lost interest, me personally, to each their own. But that's the journey I chose to jump on. And it's still that case to this day. But while I was on the phone talking to her about any and everything we was discussing, and I mentioned that, randomly, she sends me a video of her in the shower. I didn't even hear the shower running. She had those noise canceling AirPods on or something, because I thought she was just having a regular conversation with me. All of a sudden, she sends me a video of her in the shower, and she had the camera up high, showing the low angle, went low, showed the high angle, went to the back, showed the low angle, and I got to see everything. And I'm sitting on the phone, like, I hear a little zzz in my headphones, so I look at my phone while I'm talking to her, and she sent it to me in a little, not vanish mode, but the little, I forget what it's called, but women, they send it to you where you can't see it until you kind of rub your finger. Somebody out there is going to know what that's called. I'm an old head, apparently. I don't know what it's called, but I moved my finger around and I was able to see it. I pressed play, and it was X-rated damn near. And when I was watching this video, I'll remember thinking to myself, oh, damn, okay, yeah, like that? Yeah, she was like, your discipline ain't S-word. I was offended a little bit because I was like, you trying to tempt me? Obviously she was, but that's what she was trying to do. She was like trying to bypass, my standards, and that's number one way, that they attempt to lower your standards, by simply ignoring the fact that you have them and seducing you. Like, I got you. You're a guy. All guys like this. Yeah, I like it. I still have standards. You know what I mean? So what I did, I still enforced my standards. I never talked to her again because I don't want to talk to somebody who thinks I'm a joke. I'm not a joke. I mean what I say. And it doesn't help me to be with a woman who's trying to play with me. Don't play with me. Respect me. That was a clear sign she didn't respect me, my mind, my standards, anything I stood for. So that's number one way that women get us to lower our standards, is they just ignore them. They just try to bypass them. They do things directly against what you claim your standards were. Number two, they make you think you'll be missing out on something like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She's clearly placed her value of herself higher than yours. So higher than she values you. So her trying to make you and convince you and make you believe that you'll be missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, as if she's the best thing that you're ever going to meet, and she's going to pretty much say, you sure you want to walk away from this? You don't want this? It's like that movie Boomerang, when Eddie Murphy was sitting at the table with, what's her name? Oh, my goodness, man. Her name was Chandra. I think that was her name. Chandra, yeah. They were creating a perfume named after her. And Chandra, whatever. It was something like that. And she was at the table. She said, so when are we gonna? And he was like, excuse me? She was like, no man turns down this. You know what I'm saying? And so she was like, you mean you're gonna turn down this? Women are going to try to make you feel like, you sure? You want to miss out on this? Trying to make it seem like it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Okay, gone. You get it now or never. Don't try to talk to me later. If you don't want it now, I ain't giving you another shot. And then it makes you think like, it pressures you. She's trying to pressure you to go ahead and breaking your own standards. Again, a good woman is not going to try to break your standards, man. She's not going to try to coerce you into uncomfortable situations. You know what I'm saying? This should be obvious at this point. You know what I mean? But this is sign number two, or tactic number two, that they will try to take to get you to lower your standards. Okay? They're going to make you feel like you're going to miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Number three, by belittling your standards. I mean, they do this by gaslighting you into believing that your standards are unreasonable and unnecessary, by flat out either laughing at them, okay, or questioning your logic behind them. Like, you don't do this and you don't want to do that, and what's the point of you waiting? What do you think the outcome's going to be by not doing that? You know what I mean? Like, or how about the people that say you're going to have to pay for it one way or the other if you take me out on a date? Or when men say this to other men, oh, you got to pay for it anyway if you paying for the date, or you can just give her the cash up front. Some kind of way these people mainly women I'm talking about in this video, are going to try to belittle your standards and act like, bro, that don't make no sense. You got to pay for it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're taking a woman out on a date or whether you're buying her a drink, one way or the other, you're going to pay. Of course, if you're a man and you take women out on dates and you are the type of man who pays for dates, yeah, but it's not a immoral exchange. It's not a, so how much for that box? And then she says 300, and then you say, cool, we don't have to do no date, just come through. That's a different kind of exchange than you courting and trying to get to know a woman and taking her out on a date, and maybe the bill came out to $250, $300, and then at the end of the night, you guys had a good time, and then you guys end up a human sandwich. You know what I'm saying? That's a totally different way of approach at getting things like that done. You know, one's immoral and one's, moral, within moral boundaries. Okay, so that's another way that they try to belittle or get you to lower your standards, is by belittling them. Number 4, they try to get you to lower your standards by simply ignoring them. Some women hear you talking, they're like, They take you having standards and boundaries as a personal challenge. They have talked to hundreds of men before you. They've gotten what they want out of most of them. And they're like, oh, another one of these guys who claims he has standards. And she just continues to go with your flow. And then she just uses all tactics involved, whether it be wearing skimpy clothes and touching on you, brushing up against you, and making seductive conversation. I got to watch my mouth, so I'm in my head, I'm trying to find better ways to say things. But simply coming around you and giving you sexual energy, and, when I'm going to see you again? When can I come over? Like, I've had women that, when can I see you again? I just saw you yesterday. You going to pick me up today? And it was like, geez. I was like, man. I just felt like it was being thrown at me. And it was like, to the point where I wanted to take it. You know what I'm saying? So she was ignoring the standards I claim to have, because she was like, let's see how long you last. Let's see who's the first one to buckle. I bet you it'd be you. So it's very important that us as men, that we have discipline and we know how to maintain our boundaries, and our standards. Otherwise, we're going to keep being sucked into this cycle. And then we got to come right back to YouTube and watch more videos on how to regain, the power dynamic and our masculine energy and the frame of a healthy relationship, because we gave it away again. You know what I mean? And I'm guilty. This is not a judgment towards anybody. But I have most recently, within the last 8 to 9 months, have been able to sustain myself. And it's not easy. Oh, no, I talk to women and I do have that thought in my head where I'm like, I want this one, though, and then I got to calm down, Jerome. Pace yourself, brother. What does that box come with? And once I ask myself that question, I reflect on the conversations I've had with these women, and I'm like, nah, that's not it. And I even have friends, they be like, bro, you still ain't messing around? Nah, I still ain't found one, because I'm keeping my standards high. I'm not lowering my standards and just accepting any old low-hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying? So that's another way they try to get you to lower your standards, is by simply ignoring them. Number 5, they accuse you of being heavily guarded or insecure based on previous experiences. I was on the phone recently with a woman, and she was like, she was new to the city I'm in. She was like, it's hard dating out here. I said, yeah, I agree. And she was like, what do you think is the hardest thing about it? I said, man, women be lying. They be trying to run games instead of being direct and upfront. I mean, they trying to run plays on you and trying to get you out of your money, and you can tell them what you are intentionally looking for, and they're lying about their intentions and all of this stuff. I broke it down to her what I thought was hard about the dating scene in the city that we're in. And when I was done talking, she said, that was a lot. I mean, you got your guards up. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm talking to you. I'm still interested in dating and talking to another woman, and I wouldn't hold what someone else did against someone moving forward. You asked me what's so hard about dating out here, and I explained to you what's so hard about it. And she obviously was triggered by my answer, because she fit one of the demographics I mentioned in the answer, in my answer. So clearly that didn't go anywhere, but her attempt was to make me seem or feel or think that I was insecure because I was aware of all the mind games that these modern women are playing, and she was one of them. You know what I'm saying? So that didn't go anywhere, but that's another tactic that they use to try to get you to lower your standards is by trying to make you feel insecure by even having them. It's a dark game out here that these women are trying to play with us. And if you aren't aware of these tactics, then you're gonna fall for it, and then you would be tempted to continue talking to her, even though she flat out is trying to gaslight you and take advantage of you because there is something that she wants to get from you, and she's preying on your weakness. Men, we are very weak sexually, and women know this. And so they use that against you if you are not disciplined enough to stand your ground and uphold and uplift your own standards. Number 6, they try to get you to lower your standards by ghosting you unless you comply, not giving you any motion unless you are willing to lower your standards. Saying, I don't got time for that, acting like, you're just too difficult to deal with. And so they are depending on the silence that they give you and the absence and abandonment that you might be triggered, she might be triggering for you to sit there and think, I can chill on some of these standards. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I'm doing too much. And then you reach out to her and then she's like, got him. So, I mean, hey, man, I recently, 2 days ago, was talking on the phone with a woman. And she said, this conversation is very stimulating. I'm enjoying myself. I'm going to put my son to sleep real quick, and I'm going to call you right back. But don't go to sleep yet. I said, no problem. Hit me up. That was 2 days ago. I haven't heard from her. I didn't reach out to call her. And I know some women are going to be like, oh, you couldn't reach out to call her. That's not the way it goes. If we would have just got off the phone naturally, like, all right, it was good talking to you. Talk to you soon. Then I would have naturally, if I felt like talking to her again, reached out to her. But telling me that you're going to call me back, that leaves me on the hook waiting on you to call me back. And I don't play that. You know what I'm saying? That you're not somebody that I can clearly trust what you say. And that could be looked at in many ways, but I didn't overthink it. I just said, oh, okay. You said you're going to call me back and you didn't. I can't really rely on your words. I'm not really interested. That's not what I'm looking for because my standard is higher than that. And I have a video on healthy communication. And one of the things I mentioned in that video is healthy communication acknowledges pauses and delays. So for you to go 2-3 days, you say you're going to call me back that night and it's been 2-3 days, I ain't going for it. Flat out, I'm not going for it. So that's one of my personal standards. You don't have to take this one. That's what I'm going to live by because the person I'm going to end up with is going to know how to communicate in a healthy fashion. Okay? So, number 7 way that they try to get you to lower your own personal standards is by playing oblivious, acting like they don't understand where you're coming from, what's the real reason, problem, or concern for you even needing standards. Like, bro, you're overthinking it. Just live life. That kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? Go with the flow. I don't go with the flow. I'm not going with anybody's flow. If I'm going with a flow, it's going to be a flow that I created. Okay? So that's how we going to move forward with that. It's going to be a flow that I've created, and we can go with my flow, but I'm not going with your flow. You're not going to force me to do something that I'm not comfortable with. You're not going to force me to move faster than I feel like I should be moving. You're not going to force me to lower or abandon my own boundaries or standards. But that's what they do. They play oblivious, like, okay, like, so what is that? You have standards? Okay. I'm just going with the flow. I don't have standards and I don't have expectations. Oh, okay. Well, that means you're dating unintentionally and we're not doing the same thing at the moment. Even if I end up doing stuff with a woman that aren't ideal or I said I wasn't going to do, we would have to have crystal clear, healthy communication. I would have to know what's going on in order for me to want to indulge. She and I would have to see things eye to eye on the subject, like, hey, I'm not really interested in moving fast right now, but I really like you. I don't necessarily want to keep intimacy out of the equation, but I don't want to jump right into a relationship. And then that kind of clear communication will give me an opportunity to be like, I guess I can do that. I don't really see myself getting with you either. We could mess around. But my point in saying this is that we need that clear communication. I don't want to be on different pages than the person I'm dealing with, and that's just only going to add confusion, and we're both one of us is going to want something that the other one doesn't, and then that's how you end up in a situation where it turns toxic. And I'd like to avoid that. And I have a lot of experience. I'm not by far a virgin to this game. Okay, I wouldn't even be able to have a channel if I didn't know what I was talking about. And I speak from experiences, and I share my experiences with people so that I can, one, validate how they feel, because maybe they've gone through the same thing, or maybe they're in a situation that they don't know how to navigate through, and they can say, oh, I see where he's coming from. So that's why I share my stories. But I definitely have many of stories to share because I have lots of experience. So I'm not naive. I know what I'm talking about. Number 8. Let me make sure I'm at 8. Number 8 way that they try to get you to lower your standards is by making you feel as if there's no way around lowering your standards. Not just with her, with any woman, okay? So they're going to tell you stuff like, make you feel like you're an outcast. They're going to try to make you feel like you're the only one who thinks like that. I had a girlfriend a few years ago, I would say 2019, a long time ago, and I remember this. I remember she was telling me a story about how her cousin and her cousin's husband had a joint bank account, and her cousin's husband took $400 out of the bank account to surprise her. So, of course, she didn't notice at the time, but her monitoring their joint bank account, which obviously includes both of their money, she realized $400 was missing, so she took it upon herself to withdraw everything out the bank account. And I was like, why would she do that? That's not all her money. She took everything. I said she could have withdrawn her half of the money. And she was like, well, she knows he's a good man, therefore he's going to put the money back. So, he's not tripping off of her taking all the money out. I said, I'd trip if a woman took all the money out the bank account. And I said, don't do that to me. I said that for that reason alone, I'm not interested in having a joint bank account if it's with a woman who believes that she could take ownership over the bank account. It turns out that the man took the $400 out the bank account to surprise her for her birthday. He bought bungee skydiving tickets for them both. And I was like, did she put the money back? And we didn't get that far in the conversation, but I remember telling her that ain't okay. I said, she was like, well, he's fine with it. I said, I would love to talk to that man, and I guarantee you that he'll tell me he wasn't okay with that and that he didn't like that. And she said, no, he's a good man. He don't think like you. You're the only one that think like that. The way I think is how everybody think. How you think is just how you think. I was like, wow. This woman was able to tell me that my way of thinking was odd. Her way of thinking was like everybody else in the whole world. And I know that there's going to be people who watch this video and agree and disagree. But the point is, this woman felt like she spoke for everybody, and I was just speaking for myself. She tried to outcast me. So this is another tactic that they will use to get you to lower your standards, is to make you feel ostracized or isolated. They isolate you in your way of thinking and make you feel like you're the one that's unreasonable or unlogical, and you're the only one that thinks like that. Okay, so she was trying to get me to lower my standards on something. Her even telling me that story was to fish for information on how I would respond under those circumstances. So that could have been a made-up story just for her to see how I would respond. And she got her answer. I ain't going for it. Okay, number 9 way that they would try to get you to lower your standards is by calling you weird, strange, lame, goofy, sassy, or zesty, insulting your manhood and attempting to force you to conform to their demands. So I spoke about this in a video where I that I made called "Signs You're a Sassy Man," and women like this, in order to try to dominate over you, they need to knock you down a couple of pegs. And if your pegs are high, if you're on a high horse, in order to knock you down, they can't physically do it. They're going to try to do it emotionally, intellectually. They're going to try to attack your mental. They're going to try to make you feel insecure. And it don't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if there's a man out there who's been called zesty or sassy and then he turned away from having standards. But that's what it's there for. It's to get you to come down off of your high horse. It's to knock you down a few pegs. There was a video I watched one time where this woman was jokingly but serious on a TikTok video where she says, you have to insult men after sex. Be like, I like them small, and implying that the guy was small. And I'm paraphrasing in a very bad way because I can't remember every word she said, but I remember her saying, like, it's good that you're not big like the rest of them because I can handle yours. I don't like them when they big, they hurt. And implying that the man was small in order to lower his self-esteem or to bruise his ego intentionally. And this is a man that she was intimate with and liked. So this is a tactic that women use to get you to lower your standards or bring you down a couple of pegs so that they can be able to manage you a little bit better. Pimps use this tactic all the time. I'm from Long Beach, California, and being around pimps is something that's, you walk outside, there's probably a pimp that live next door. And what they do is they break you down to build them up. You hear them say, I break a bee. And what they mean that by that is they break your spirit. And then once you're wounded and conflicted and all this stuff, they build you back up and start feeding you validation again. So this is the same tactic that these women are trying to do, where they break you down to build you back up again, but they build you back up to a manageable person. Okay? And that's another way that they try to get you to lower your standards. So beware. Lastly, number 10 way that they try to get you to lower your own standards so that they are able to manipulate you is by flat out trying to force you to do what they want physically. Bro, these are the scary women out there that will grab you by the hand and put it on their body. Grab your hand, put it somewhere else. Grab you by the hand, pull you into the room, push you on the bed. These women are forceful. They're like, you're coming with me. They're grabbing you. They're groping you. They are physical. And you're like, whoa. And you kind of feel weird because as a dominant man, you feel like maybe 10% out of 100 turned on by that. The other 90% is you feel max disrespected. But you feel like you kind of want to spin the narrative and be like, okay, if you're going to throw it at me like this, let me show you something. But at the same time, you're like, I feel like I'm letting go of my standards. I feel like somebody is forcing me to do something that I told them I didn't want to do. Somebody is totally taking advantage. And if you do this to a woman, you're going to jail. Now, the worst part about this part right here, when a woman becomes physical with you, if you fight back, she's going to cry wolf. She's going to say you took her into that room. She's going to say you tried to assault her. And you're going to be like, what the hell? I did no such thing. And no one's going to believe that a woman took you anywhere. So this is scary. You know what I'm saying? It's dealing with a woman who is willing to be physical with you. She'll probably drop herself on the ground and start screaming, help. And you're like, what the heck? I didn't even do nothing to you. People come to her rescue and they got guns drawn on you, like, back up from her. And now you're facing charges and you ain't do anything. It's very dark. I told you from the jump it's going to get dark. But this is what women would do to get you to lower your standards. When they find themselves wanting something that you have, whether it's your money, whatever it is, and they are trying to get you, whether it's you getting them pregnant, whatever it may be, they sometimes can become physically aggressive with you. And sometimes, though, unfortunately, we fall for that. And we find ourselves in that situation where we are doing something. I've done it. I ain't going to lie to you. I remember one time I went on a date with a woman. I told the story before, but I'm going to tell it again, for example. And we went on a date. We went and had seafood, crab legs, and come time to pay, I put my card on the table. She said, no, I got it. And I was like, there's no problem. I got it. I pay for dates. She was like, no, I got it. I want to pay for this. I was like, okay. I put my card back in the wallet. We got in the car. She was like, so you going to give me some? You coming back to my crib? You going to give me some or what? And I felt obligated to. And I could have said no. I didn't. But I felt some kind of way. That's why I'm telling you this story, because I was like, she flipped the script on me. It was like, she does this. She was very aggressive, and it was like, she does this with men. And I just felt like the woman. I felt like the feminine one out of the two, the less dominant one. And I ain't like that. Even though I was the one smacking, I was like, this is her idea. And I ain't like it. I ain't like it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving these little examples right here so we can look out, guys. This is how women get you to lower your standards. And if you like me, you ain't perfect. You fall for it sometimes. And then it's like you got to keep hitting the reset button because you're trying to, if you're on a journey to find better and you're raising your standards so that you can meet women that aren't like this, if you fall for it, then you just got set back. You feel it, even if you didn't physically get set back. Cause it's like, yo, it's no big deal. You just got some box. But on the inside of yourself, you're thinking, I know, but that's not how I wanted it, and that's not what I want, and that's not the type of woman I wanted from. And now you are realizing that, the pool of qualified, quality women is much smaller than the pool of women who are pretty much game players, manipulators, forceful, and they believe that they're entitled to what they want. And sad reality is there's men who are doing the same thing. Men feel entitled to certain kind of women, whatever woman they want, actually. And again, I've been that kind of man too, so I have no space to judge. I let him without sin cast the first stone. I got to drop mine. But I just wanted to break down 10 ways that these women get us to have to keep hitting the reset button on our own journey of finding what we actually want in life. If this video has resonated with you or you just simply agree, go ahead and hit that like button, leave me a comment, subscribe. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jerome, and this has been another episode of The Superb Word. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all day. Till next time, two fingers.